Hey everybody, and welcome to my channel. My name is Tremel McCray. People refer to me as His Majesty, Tremel McCray, and my husband is Joseph McCray, and together we are the McCray Kings. Um, and this is my story time. For those of you that are new to our channel, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button so that you will be able to get notification when we post new content. Please excuse me. I am just a little bit taken aback right now, but I still felt like I really needed to do this video. My husband right now is in the hospital. He's suffering. He suffered a stroke on Saturday, and but he's recovering well. He's recovered well. He will need some rehab. He will have to go to rehab in order to learn to walk again. But fortunately, that's the only thing that he came out. That's the only disability that he came out with um, from the stroke. Is He has to learn how to walk again. Um, so with that being said, I'm going to start with my story time. This is my story time. I've gotten this question a lot. A lot of people ask me, especially some new friends that just came along, that I met. They ask me about, why I don't speak to my family anymore. Well, when I got married, uh, Joseph's family became my family. So I do have a family. I have an extended family. My in-laws, and my husband's relatives are my family. They've done nothing but treat me good, treat me well. They treated me with the utmost respect. They love me. They appreciate me unconditionally. I have to say to my husband's family. I did at one point in time in my life. I did have a family. I have a mother who is 75 years old. I have a younger sister who is 43. And then I have a older sister who is 53. Um, and my mom's name is Carolyn. My younger sister's name is Kelly. And my older sister's name is Kim. And we no longer speak. We no longer speak. We no longer interact with one another. We no longer call each other. No social media. No nothing. I completely erased them from my existence, from my life. I've completely erased them. Now you ask the question, why? Why would a son, why would a brother just erase his whole family from existence? And I'll tell you why. Um, as a child, I was abused a lot. I was abused a lot by family, mostly by family, but I was also abused by other people outside my family. Um, I was sexually abused by a relative most of my young adult life, um, and my mother and father weren't really. Although I grew up in the same house with my mom and dad. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, you're lucky you grew up in a house. You had your mom and your dad there, and you had a nice house, and so on and so forth." But um, my mom and dad weren't really nice to me. Um, I'm trying to do this in a way in which I don't sound too bitter, because I do. I can't lie. There is some bitterness in my heart. There is there's a desire more than the bitterness, though. The desire And there's a desire and there's a wish. The desire and the wish is I wish that things could have been different. The desire is I wish things could have been different, but they just aren't. They just aren't. They are what they are. But I was abused by my mom. I was verbally, mentally, and physically abused by my mom. I was verbally abused by my dad, but not so much. I wasn't that much abused by my dad, simply only because my father was a police officer. And so my father was never home. He was always at work. He was always, like, when I got home from school, my father was leaving out to go to work. He was a police officer. Um, so my dad wasn't as bad as my mom. Now, he did some horrible things, God rest his soul. My father is dead, and I can't make him responsible for things that he did because he's not here anymore. But my dad, um, he was a tough guy. He was a tough guy. He wasn't easy on me. He really wasn't. He abused me. Um, he abused me and he just disregarded me. He disregarded me because I guess he knew that I was going to grow up to be gay. I don't know. He just disregarded me. Like, after he realized, I think once he realized that I wasn't going to be this masculine kid because I never wanted to play football or baseball or anything like that. I guess once he realized that, he just gave up and he just said, fuck it, let him be whatever he wants to be. And that's how that's what that's the memory that I have of my dad. My dad passed away in 1990. Don't get me wrong, I still love him. I still love him. I still love my dad. He was the man that brought me into helped bring me in this world. I still love him. But like I said, he's dead. He's gone. He's not responsible for um, uh, um, what has happened to me in these years. So I don't speak ill of him. I don't. I don't speak ill of him. My mother, on the other hand, she abused me. When I tell you she abused me, um, my mother has done some horrible things to me. She's done some horrible things to me. Um, and it's difficult for me to speak ill of her. It really is. It's difficult to speak ill of her because she still is my mother, regardless whether I never speak to her again or not, or I never see her again. She's still my mom. And that's what the Bible says. The Bible didn't say that we have to speak to them. The Bible didn't say that we have to tolerate them. The Bible said that we have to honor them. And that's what I do. I honor my mother and my father. That's it. But my mother was very verbally abusive to me growing up. She was very physically abusive to me growing up. And she was very mentally abusive to me growing up. I could tell you some stories that will horrify you. I could tell you some stories. I can tell you some things that my mother did to me that would completely wreck your mind. Wreck your mind. But I said I was gonna make this video clean. I wasn't gonna call nobody no names, no none of that. I wasn't gonna do that. I was gonna explain to you guys why I don't speak to my family anymore. And hopefully, just by the little things, you'll get a little understanding of why I don't speak to them. But I don't, my mom was very verbally and physically and mentally abusive to me growing up as a child. But as a child that knew God, I always followed what God's word was. And I had a very big misunderstanding of what God's words were. God says for me to honor my mother and my father. I come from a Southern background. I was raised in the South and in the North, but I come from a Southern background. So I was raised that whatever your parents tell you to do, you do with no questions asked. You don't talk back to your parents. You don't do things like call your parents a liar. Even if they are lying, you don't have the nerve or the balls to ever call them a liar. That's how I was raised. I was always raised to do as I was told. I wasn't raised like these kids are raised today. When my parents had guests over, we children, we had to go in our rooms because children were seen and not heard. And that was it. So my upbringing has a lot to do with what I endured, um, and why I am the way I am now. But my mother was, like I said, my mother was very, very abusive to me. And even as a young man, 18, she still was doing, I was still allowing, excuse me, I was still allowing my mother to abuse me. She did things like she stole money from me at one time. She would belittle me. It was more so growing up, more so after I grew up and got out of her house. It was more of the verbal abuse and the mental abuse that I endured from her as an adult, from age 18, I'd say, up until age 50. Yeah, age 50. From age 18 to age 50, I endured a majority of the verbal abuse that I experienced with her. Now, in order for you guys to have a little bit more understanding as to why I don't speak to my family, I have to tell you what the dynamic of my family is. I have a younger sister and I have an older sister. My older sister is a year in front of me. My baby sister is a couple of years behind me. Um, when my father passed away, my younger sister, she was a kid. She was very young. So she didn't grow up with my father around. My father wasn't around. He had passed away. And my mother basically raised her on her own. And not that it was hard, it wasn't hard financially for my mother to raise her. It was actually more beneficial for her to raise her, actually, because had my father was a police officer, so he made good money. So financially, my mother was set when my father passed away. So she took very good care of my sister. But my sister, I'm trying to get into the dynamic of my family. My Both my sister and we were older when my father passed away. I was 23 when my father passed away. My sister was 24. Okay. So my younger sister, she lived with my mother. And her and my mother, they developed a sisterhood. They have developed a sisterhood. They developed a friendship. It was basically my mother was much closer to my baby sister than she was to myself and my older sister, because we were already out in the world doing our thing and hanging out and doing our thing, just living life. So with that came favoritism. So my mother has always showed favoritism for my younger sister. My younger sister couldn't do anything wrong. She could do nothing wrong. She could never do anything wrong. She could never do anything wrong. She could never say anything wrong. Um, and that was that. And if we said something against her, or if we said something, if we ever expressed how we felt about my younger sister, we were put in our place as children. As adults, I never had a relationship with my baby sister. Never really had a relationship with her. When I look back on it, because I was gay. I had come out. My mother didn't like the fact that I was gay. Um, just a year prior, my father had punched me and knocked me out to the point where I had to go to the hospital and get stitches because my father hit me so hard when he found out I was gay. But my sisters, I have to keep it 100. My sisters, my homosexuality has never been an issue for them. I just want to clear that up. My homosexuality has never been an issue for my two sisters. Never. It was just my father and my mother that really had an issue with it. Now, I was the best friend. I was the best person in the world when my father passed away. because my father left me money. He left me a decent amount of money that I, vulnerable me, took upon myself to share it. I shared my wealth. I mean, and I'm telling you, at that time, the amount of money my dad gave me, I was a bit. I might as well have been a millionaire. But it was enough for me to sustain on my own and give to those that I wanted to give to. And I did. I gave to those I wanted to give to. My mother, of course, she took it a step further. She wanted everything. She wanted to make sure that she got every single dime that I had. And she did it. I went away. I had an opportunity to go away and tour with an artist as a dancer. And I had left my mother, who I thought was, there for me. I left her my bank information. I left her my checkbooks. I left her my bank account. Left her everything, and told her, I need for you to take care of these things while I'm gone. And here is my here's my checkbook. I need you to pay these bills and da da da, because I have things that I needed to pay, and I was going to be out of the country, and it was going to be no way that I was going to be able to do it, you know, where I was at. I wasn't going out of the country. I was going out of state. It was no way for me to do it the way where I was, and I came back, and my mother told me, I spent your money. I'm going to pay you back. I never got that money back. Never got it back. Um, I know I'm ranting. I'm giving you little spurts of some of the different things that I've been through with my family. My oldest sister, she has 10 kids. 10. And all her children, their fathers were all jailbirds. So none of them were ever there for her when she had a child. It was me. It was me that was there whenever she needed a babysitter. It was me that was there whenever she wanted to go work and she wanted to make money, and she needed somebody to be home with her kids, making sure that they did their homework, making sure they got home from school, making sure they got to bed, making sure they got up in the morning. It was me that was there for her. Never got a thank you or anything. The last straw for her was one day she told me that she needed for me to babysit for her. She needed for me to watch her kids. At the time, she had only 6 at the time. She asked me to babysit for her, and I told her, I said, well, Kim, I'm going to a concert this evening. I'm going to see Janet Jackson at the Taj Mahal in Jersey City, and I need for you to be back here no later than 3 p.m. Are you sure you're going to be back? You sure you're going to be back? Yes, I'm sure I'm going to be back. I'm sure I'm going to be back. Okay, I really need for you to be back, because I'm telling you, Kim, if you're not back, you're not going to like my next move. Okay, so the day came. She wanted me to babysit, and I did. I sat there, 3 o'clock, no Kim. 4 o'clock, no Kim. 5, no Kim. I'm still having to, mind you, go to Jersey City and catch a bus to another place because I didn't have a car at the time, and meet up with my friends so we can go to Atlantic City to see Janet Jackson. So I said, you know what? I'm tired. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being used. I'm tired of being taken advantage of. I'm tired. So what I did, you know what I did? I got dressed and I got up and I left. And I left all her kids there, baby and all. And she never, ask me to watch her kids ever again. Never. So that was the last straw with my sister. Well, that actually wasn't the last straw with her. The last straw with her was one day I was on Facebook, and I'm having a conversation with somebody on Facebook Live, and she decides to inject herself into our conversation and decides to start insulting me, right there. And I was like, you know what? Fuck you, bitch. And I blocked her and I told her, don't ever speak to me again. You're not my sister anymore. Don't ever speak to me again. And I haven't spoken to her since. Now my baby sister, that's a whole nother story. That little bitch. Oh, that little bitch. If I said what I would like to do to her on this video, somebody will be knocking at my door and put me in jail for what I would like to do to her. Yeah, because my baby sister is and has always been the most disrespectful person in my life. She has been the most horrible. She has been, if my mother is bad, she's worse. And if my mother is worse, she's bad. She is the epitome of my mother, the epitome of her. Um, I'm gonna keep this video real nice and clean and cute. That's what I wanted to do. I really wanted to keep this video nice and clean and cute. I didn't want you guys to think that I didn't want you guys to think bad of me because of the things that I'm saying about people that are supposed to be my family. But listen, guys, I'm making this video for one reason and one reason only, and I'm telling you this. If you have toxic people in your life, honestly, you need to kick them to the curb. I don't care if it's your mother. I don't care if it's your brother. I don't care if it's your daughter. I don't care if it's your son. I don't care if it's a friend. I don't care if it's a boss. I don't care if it's a coworker. I don't care who it is. If there is somebody in your life right now at this moment that is toxic to your well-being, meaning that is the person that knows how to push your buttons. That is the person that can take you out your element. That is the person that can make you say and do things that you normally wouldn't do. That is the person that when you think about them, you feel depressed or you feel anger or you feel hate, you feel any negativity. That person is toxic. And I don't care if it's your mother who curses you out when you don't do what she tell you to do. I don't care if it's your sister who you don't babysit her kids when she wants you to, or do whatever, do her bidding. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it can be your husband, your wife. I don't care who it is. If they are toxic in your life, you need to get rid of them. Stop thinking about the relation. Stop thinking about the connection and think about yourself. That's the one thing that we as humans do. We most of us are so unselfish to the point where we sit and we endure things that we really don't have to endure. We don't. We sit and we endure things. We tolerate things. We make excuses. We tolerate things that we don't have to tolerate. I refuse to. I refuse to. I had to take a hard, long look at my life, that I had to say to myself, you know what, Tramel? You don't even put up with this shit from people out in the street. Why the fuck are you putting up with the shit that you put up with from people that say they love you? For you people that are toxic and for you people that are not toxic, I ask you this. What is love to you? You have to evaluate that, because that's what I had to evaluate. Because this decision wasn't easy. It wasn't it wasn't an easy decision for me to make, to stop speaking to my mom. It wasn't an easy decision for me to make when I decided to stop speaking to my siblings. It wasn't an easy decision at all. I had to take some things into consideration. I had to think about some things. I had to think long and hard about what I was about to do because this was a big step. You know, you meet a friend, things don't work out, kick the friend to the this is my mother and my sisters. I had to make a decision. I had to make a decision that was best for me. I had to be selfish with myself for once in my life. I had to make a decision. I had to make a decision what I was going to do, and whatever I was going to do, I was going to be okay with it. I told my husband what I was going to do. I said to my husband, I said, Joseph, I said, I am wounded to the point where the wounds will not heal when it comes to my family. They just won't heal. And I'm really considering, and I've really made a decision to erase them from my life. Made a decision to erase them from my life. And so my husband says to me, and my husband, I love him so much because he is the essence of what I've always desired in my life. And there's only one thing that I've ever desired wholeheartedly. The one thing that I've ever desired in life is not money, it's not things, it's unconditional love. That's what I wanted. I wanted unconditional love. I wanted people to reciprocate the unconditional love that I had for them, those that I loved unconditionally. I wanted them to reciprocate that same unconditional love to me. That means love me no matter what you think. I don't care if you gay Trammell. I love you. And I'm going to show you that. And I'm never going to make it be about me when it comes to you. I'm going to love you unconditionally, in spite of, no matter what. That means if I was a mass murderer, a serial killer, and you love me unconditionally, you'd be in that courtroom every single day, knowing that I'm going to get the death penalty, but you would be in that damn courtroom every day supporting me. Not supporting what I did, but supporting me. That's all I've ever wanted, was unconditional love. I finally got it. My husband gives it to me. My husband gives me unconditional love. My husband loves me. And I'm telling you, I sit here and I say to myself, why? Why? Why does he love me? Look at me. I look at myself in the mirror. I'm not the person that I used